I struggled for 12 years trying to create a career around my music production. There were so many different avenues I could take. There were so many people saying so many different things. Just like here on YouTube, I get that everybody has an opinion. Everybody does things differently. But there was 3 major mistakes that I made on the way here, and I want to share them with you because I hope that you can learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to repeat what I did. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chris. I make music under the name Wav.Formation. I also have a music production coaching business where I teach other music producers how to create careers out of their music, how to build an online business so that they can quit their 9-to-5s and they can do music full time, because I know how much of a struggle this is, so I love to help others. And if that's something you're into, please subscribe to this channel. I know you'll get a lot of value out of this and you'll learn a lot about music and business. So there's 3 main mistakes, 3 big mistakes. I don't know if these are the main mistakes, but these are 3 major mistakes that stood out to me when I was trying to create a career with my music. And these are mistakes I made, and they're very common mistakes. So there's a good chance that you might be making these mistakes too. And I want to help you nip it in the bud so that you can actually launch your career. So the first thing being, I thought that I could learn everything by myself. There's a ton of information here on YouTube. There's a ton of information on Google. The internet, we have access to massive amounts of information. And the fact that we do means that a lot of people can speak their mind, they can say their opinions, think what they want on the internet. Everybody has access to it. Therefore, it becomes very diluted, and there's a lot of things that are, counterintuitive. They kind of clash with each other, so there we don't know what to do, right? We don't know who to listen to, who not to listen to. And so when you do that, there's no structured plan. There's so many people out there that know what they're doing, but everybody does things differently. But if you try to Frankenstein everybody's success, you take this person's marketing strategy, you take this person's sales strategy, you take this person's ad strategy, and you put them all together, it's hard for them to coincide and work together. They all 3 may work on their own with different strategies, with different ad groups, with different marketing strategies, with different sales, and then this guy might have a different group of things that he does, but if you try to combine them all at once, it just becomes this Frankenstein of a thing, and it just doesn't work out well. And so thinking that we can learn by ourselves, knowledge is one thing, is one factor in our success, right? Obviously, we need to know what to do in order to make sure we're doing the right thing and putting it into action. But the last thing is the most important. If you just have knowledge, that's only a portion of what you need, right? Knowledge without action is useless. So what we need to do is we need to also have accountability. We need to make sure that we're staying on the right path. And there's many mistakes that we can make. And if the more and more and more that you do these mistakes without being corrected, they become habits, right? They become ingrained as habits in us where we just do it naturally without thinking. And if there isn't someone there to fix those habits and be like, hey, cut that out, go this way, then it's going to be too late. And the habit is going to be harder and harder to break. So you can't have external accountability. You can't have someone fix your mistakes. You can't make sure that someone else keeps you on path if you don't hire somebody else to help you. So when I hired a coach, I was able to quit my job in 5 months, right? I hired a business coach. He told me exactly what to do. He gave me a blueprint and I just did it. And I was able to quit my 9-to-5 that I had been working at for years within 5 months. And so obviously I felt ridiculous because I spent 12 years trying to figure it out myself, right? Being ignorant to the fact that, hey, if I just hired somebody, they could just tell me exactly what to do and I would be off to the races. So some people might think hiring a mentor is expensive. I can't afford a mentor. Well, think about this. Can you afford to spend 10 years, 20 years trying to figure things out yourself? Because over those 10 or 20 years, you're losing much more money. You're losing much more opportunity than if you just invested in the first place. I spent 10 grand on my first mentor. It was insane, right? I didn't have the money. I took out money from my savings. I took out a loan. I took all of this stuff. And I was scared. I was extremely scared because it was like, dude, I don't even have this money. Right? I'm borrowing money in order to do this, but I knew that if I didn't do it, I would be losing so much more than I had already lost because I had spent 12 years trying to get my business off the ground, whereas if I hired a mentor before that 12 years, I could have spent 12 years growing my business instead of just trying to figure out how to get it off the ground. And that's still something to this day that I cannot get back. I can't get back that 12 years that I spent trying to get my business off the ground. I've wasted it. It's gone. And if you make the same mistake, you might be losing out on the same most important years of your life. Number 2 is undercharging to get my name out there. In the beginning, we always think, I'm going to do this work for free. I'll do this for cheap. I just need to get my name out there. Here's the thing. We think that we need to get all these accolades. We think we need to get these credits, these placements in order for someone to even hire us. This is only one way of marketing, right? There's people out there who rely on their credits, who rely on their placements in order to get more work. And when you do that, it just becomes difficult because you're leaning too heavily on the previous things that you've done. And then your marketing statements, your messaging to your audience is unclear, or you're unclear if it works, right? So if you stop relying on the credits that you use and you just focus on the message that you put out there and what you're saying in your marketing, you can dial that in and you can fine tune that and then just leverage your credits later when you already know that your marketing message works. But without doing that first, you're going to have a huge gap in your marketing, and it's going to only get bigger as you continue to go up because you never fix the issue. And so there are two types of ways to market. There's leaning on the credits that you have, or you can just find out what your clients' issues are and you solve their problem. No matter what industry you're in order to get clients, all you have to do is find out exactly what your client's problem is, and then you create a solution for it. And no matter what your accolades are, no matter what kind of credits you have in the industry, if you can solve your client's problem, they will pay you no matter what. So that's what you need to think about when you are marketing your beats. These artists, they have a problem. They can't find the right beats they want. They can't create the right beats because they're not producers. They're missing a massive portion of their music, right? Without the music, they just have vocals. And the more that you can paint that picture for them, the more that you can show how much value you offer, they will pay you to solve that solution. And that's the kind of marketing you should be focusing on. Number 3 is having undefined goals. We're always talking about how we want to just create music for all the souls in the universe so that we can touch everybody on an emotional level, so that we can, there's a lot of things that we want to do with music, and it's all great. I understand music is very emotional. Music makes people feel a certain way, and it's really more than just money and all this stuff. But here's the thing. In the beginning, especially, when you don't have clear-cut defined goals, you have nothing to measure. Therefore, you don't know if you're progressing or you're declining. And if you don't know where you stand, and you don't know how to measure whether you're progressing or not. And you can be like, you may be progressing, but you're like, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. And then you end up quitting, right? So having undefined goals, and also something is like, we like to say we create all sorts of music. We create all genres. I'm super well-versed. We use it as our advantage. But really, it's a disadvantage to us, because in the beginning, what you need to do is you need to narrow in, you need to niche down, and then you can start widening as your career grows. But in the beginning, if you try to hit this and this and this and this and this and this, it seems counterintuitive because we want to stay open so that we can get as many clients as we want. But if you don't niche down, you can't speak to everybody a strong message like you can speak to one certain group. So let's say you help Asian American trap artists who live in Atlanta. You can speak that marketing message much clearer to that group of people if it's defined that way, so that you can get those clients and you can eventually grow and scale out. Whereas if you're like, I help everybody, no one's going to believe you, right? If you had a problem with your roof, right? If you had a problem with your roof, would you hire a roofer, or would you hire a handyman that says, I do everything? The person that specializes is going to get the job. And if you don't specialize in something and you're just a generalist, no one's going to hire you in the beginning, especially when you have nothing to prove for it, okay? So these are 3 big mistakes that I made personally early on in my career that held me back massively. And I hope that helped you out, because these are things that if you just are aware of and you do differently, you shift your mindset around it, this is going to take you much further, much faster than the way that I went, because I spent 12 years trying to figure this out. So I hope this was helpful. If you liked this video, you want to learn more about music production business, more about music production, subscribe to my channel, hit like, hit the bell notification so that you are alerted every time I make a new video and you can learn more about this business. So hope that was helpful. See you in the next video.